question comes from the line of Tony Grossi with ESPN Cleveland. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Kurt. Congratulations. One footnote in your career that interests me is the 1999 expansion draft. Can you recall your thoughts on first being put out there by St. Louis, second being basically rejected by an expansion team, and thirdly, can you reflect at all had the Browns been able to take you, how your career would be different? Well, first, one thing that I've always tried to do throughout my career is stay realistic about the business of the NFL and the business of football. And so, a lot of people want to look back and say, well, they put you up for the expansion draft and, say, well, to put a chip on your shoulder, do they give you more motivation? I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, I was a guy that had thrown 11 passes that nobody even knew about. That if you're the St. Louis Rams and you're thinking, well, who can we put out there that either A, isn't going to really affect us moving forward, or B, the Browns probably won't take anyways, I would have probably been on top of the list. And so there's no, animosity there that I was put up for the expansion draft, because I fully understand why. And I think it was, when you look at the big picture, it was a smart decision by the Rams, looking at everything from that perspective. What was part B of your question?
The Browns not taking you. I mean, how did that make you feel like,
And again, no animosity, no expectation that I was going to be picked. I mean, of course, there's always some excitement if you're going to, a team that doesn't have an entire roster. Maybe there would have been an opportunity for me to compete at that time, whereas I wasn't sure that would be the case in St. Louis. But again, when you look at that expansion draft and you get to pick so many players, you don't see Kurt Warner's name at that stage and go, oh gosh, we got to have that guy. Nobody wanted me a year before that. Nobody knew anything else really about me at that time. So it really just, was what it was. And like I said, I was realistic about the situation, and knew I was going to either get a chance with the Rams the following year, or I would be, in a position to have a chance with Cleveland. So for me, it was a win-win situation, and it didn't hold anything against either team. Had I gone to Cleveland, how would my career be different? I have no idea. It would have been fun to win a Super Bowl in Cleveland, though. But I think when you're going through the process and, you get to this point, I always felt like wherever I was, I'd be successful. And, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and, a lot of people, I think, when they see my career, they hear or they remember sat on the bench for 4 years in college, got cut by the Packers, worked in a grocery store, and then won the Super Bowl. I mean, that's kind of the timeline that people see when they hear Kurt Warner. When I look at the timeline, I look at it and say, played 1 year in college, was player of the year in my conference. I played 3 years in arena football, went to the Arena Bowl twice, and was voted the best quarterback in the league in all 3 seasons. Went to Europe for a year, was the top quarterback statistically the season that I played there. So I look at it and say, every time I played, I was successful. Everybody else looks at it and says, well, he didn't play very much. So there was 2 different perspectives on it. So had I gone to Cleveland, I would have expected nothing else but to have success somehow, some way, some form. Had I been on the field, I would have expected to play well and have success. And so, we joke, I would have loved to have won a Super Bowl in Cleveland or gone to a Super Bowl in Cleveland. I believe that had I gone there and had a chance to play, I would have helped that franchise go to places they've never been before. But that's just, whether it's arrogance or confidence or whatever you want to call it, that was my mentality when I stepped between the lines on a football field, that I was going to make my team better, and somehow, some way, I was going to find a way to succeed. Thank you.
question comes from the line of Gustavo Tomazelli with Esportes.net. Please proceed with your question.
Hello, Kurt. Congratulations. Production, and you had a remarkable career. I mean, play for 3 organizations, especially made to the Super Bowl with 2 of them, St. Louis Rams and Arizona Cardinals. And I mean, which moment in the NFL was most remarkable moment? And you're playing 2 Super Bowls. I mean, they have a ton of emotions. Which moment in your NFL career was most remarkable for you? I mean, you know, it's hard to say because there's different moments that were really special to me for different reasons. But at the same time, I think it's hard to move away from winning the Super Bowl, and especially winning the Super Bowl in my first season as a starter after the magical season that kind of played out in '99 in St. Louis. To be able to step on the football field as I had, dreamed about my front yard a million times and throw a touchdown pass as time's running down with 2 minutes to go in the Super Bowl to kind of seal the victory. It doesn't get any better than that. That's what every kid, especially every kid that wants to be a quarterback, dreams about their entire life growing up. You watch all the great ones. You remember the great ones that did it on the biggest stage, and you say, man, I hope one day I can have the opportunity to play in the biggest game, have the ball in my hands, and have a chance to lead my team to a touchdown to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what the dream is. And to have all that play out my first season starting in the NFL, and to win a Super Bowl with the Rams and with that team, has to be the crowning moments, in the big picture. And then, like I said, from there, once you get to that, you start weighing things and looking at things differently. And so there was a number of other things that happened along the way that were extremely memorable, that were extremely special to me. But that one, just because of the nature of how everything played out and the way that happened in that magical season, and in that kind of that crazy ride, had to be, that moment that sticks out more than any others. Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Dan Wilkins with The Score. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Kurt. I'm just wondering a little bit about how valuable your experiences were in the Arena League and in Europe for what your career eventually became in the NFL. And just with that in mind, how important do you think it is that the NFL again establishes some sort of development league? Well, those leagues were instrumental for me. I often joke that when I was in Green Bay, was just when Brett Favre was kind of coming into his own. And, there's one side that, man, I would have loved to have made that roster, and what would my career have looked like had I played another 5 or 6 years in the league, I mean, all that stuff. But I also joke that from the time I was in camp with Green Bay until the moment I retired from the NFL, Brett Favre didn't miss a single snap. So had I made the team with the Packers, who knows what my career would have looked like? Who knows when I would have ever stepped on the field for the first time or ever had a chance to start. Getting cut there, I got a chance to play a whole bunch of football, and probably more football than any backup quarterback in any league anywhere. That I went from a guy that really played 1 year in college to having so many reps playing arena football, and then even more reps, in the course of probably a 12-month period, playing arena football, and then to Europe, and then to the NFL. Probably played more football than anybody that time period. But I got to grow up as a football player. I got a chance to experience and see so many different scenarios on the football field that I would have never faced and never been able to use as preparation for when I finally did start at the NFL level. That part, just in and of itself, was so valuable to me. The nature of the Arena League, the speed of the game, the accuracy that needed to be developed, the way you had to move within the pocket, the confines of what the field was like. I think all those things did nothing but hone my skills. And as you would notice as I get to the NFL, that, those things that were so instrumental in being successful in the Arena League would also become my strengths on the big field at the NFL level. And then I think the third thing when you talk about, the Arena League was the mentality in which you played the game at the quarterback position was so different in the Arena League that you knew you weren't going to win games handing the ball off. You knew you weren't going to win the game if you had to kick, 6 or 7 times like you do in the NFL. You were going to win the game by your quarterback making throw after throw after throw, scoring touchdown after touchdown. Every time you stepped on the field, it was like a 2-minute drill. And so that mentality that was developed in arena football on how to play the quarterback position and how to stay aggressive, and the expectation that you set for yourself every time you touch the football was different. In the NFL, you come in and you punt 4 times, and that's a good day. For me, if I punted 1 time, I was disappointed. So there were so many things that I learned and that I've developed in those, 4 seasons, 3 in arena and then the 1 in Europe, that were vital to me being ready and prepared and able to, grab the wheel and take off running when I got my opportunity with the Rams. So, I'm just such a big proponent of having other opportunities, especially for the quarterback position, to be able to develop, whether that be a feeder league from the NFL, whether that be another league that kind of takes on the role of developing. Quarterback position is so difficult, and it gets more and more difficult from the standpoint of the NFL is asking more and more of their quarterbacks every year based on the rules and the way they've been changed, that the quarterback is expected to throw the ball 700 times a season, and to carry the team a lot more than maybe in the past. So I think there's, when you look at the jump from college to pro, when you look at the systems being run in college to allow players to play quicker, and then that jump that goes to the NFL, I think you're just going to see it become more and more difficult for guys to be able to make that jump and be successful quickly without getting reps in between the lines. So I think it would be extremely beneficial for the NFL to develop a league or to partner with another league as a means of allowing quarterbacks to build their skill set and get better prepared for when they get the opportunity to play at the NFL level. I mean, I'm thinking of Jake Delhomme, who I played with in Europe, went on to lead his team to the Super Bowl. Brad Johnson, who played in Europe, went on to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. So you see some direct benefits of guys that were backups and got an opportunity to start and play somewhere else because they weren't getting on the field in the NFL, and it allowed them to come back and really excel playing in the National Football League. So it was huge and instrumental for me, no question, and I think it would be instrumental for the league and for young quarterbacks in the future to have something else like that.
This will be our last question.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the line of Alex Freeman with RealSport101.com. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Kurt. Congratulations on your induction. After your release from the Rams, you went on to play for the Giants in 2004. Obviously, that was Eli's rookie year. At that stage in your career, did mentoring Eli help you in any way in the future?
Well, I mean, I don't know if the mentoring process necessarily helped me, from a football standpoint, so to speak. But I think every opportunity that I was faced with throughout my career, good, bad, indifferent, starter, backup, mentoring role, they all helped shape me as a person. And so I don't look at any of the situations and say it didn't benefit me in some way. So, learning what it meant to be a great teammate, learning the rewarding part of being able to help a team and, help a team be successful on Sunday afternoons, even when you don't have the ball in your hands, is very rewarding. And so, and then just, always being in a position, having 7 kids, you love being in a position where you know that how you act and what you say and how you help someone can ultimately impact their long-term success or belief or confidence. And so, just having an opportunity to work with a young man that wanted to be great and to impart anything upon them that, one day helps them to succeed at a level maybe they wouldn't have without you, you take something from that. You love being a part of that. You take pride in being in those situations. And so, like I said, I don't know if it did anything for me as a football player, but as a man, I relished the opportunity, and it was very rewarding. And, I hope, I don't even hope, you like to think that you had, maybe a little hand in the great success, the great accomplishments that Eli Manning had, because you were there at the start and maybe gave him some small piece of advice, or maybe something that he saw in you he was able to take and apply to his game or his ability to handle the situations that would come his way, and it made him a stronger person and a better quarterback. I've got a few more minutes if there's anybody, if we want to take a few more questions, but that's up to you guys.
That's fine with us at the hall.
Okay.
Our next question comes from the line of Raphael Haynes with the 3-point conversion. Please proceed with your question.
First off, congrats, Kurt. Question is, with you having the career that you had, you was All-Pro, Super Bowls, and everyone telling you after the fact that, hey, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. Did it take from that when you received the call, or was it still like oh my God, I'm in the Hall of Fame, and that's surreal?
I don't even know if to this moment I've fully grasped what it means and how I fit in to the about the Hall of Fame process is that, as not in society today, but as athletes, you're so used to the instant gratification that you play well, you get the pat on the back, or you win a game and you get a trophy, and you understand the correlation of, okay, I do this today, I get this tomorrow. With the Hall of Fame process, the last pass I threw was 8 years ago, and so for 8 years, you walk around and you go about life, retirement, as just, as the same guy you were the day you retired. And then one day somebody knocks on your door and says, well, hold on a second. That's all changed. Now you're a Hall of Famer. Yet I didn't do anything different in that 8 years. It's hard to grasp that feeling and truly understand the meaning of it. One of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to the beginning of August and going down the process and seeing the guys that I admired and looked up to and tried to emulate for so many years, to walk into a room with them, to hear those guys speak, and to be a part of that process is, I think, when it will really take shape on what it means to be one of 310 men or individuals connected to the Hall of Fame. And people have laid a mark on this great game, in the history of this great game, to the point where people felt you belonged, immortalized within the sport. It's hard to really grasp that and fathom that. The one thing that I have grabbed a hold of in the process is what a perfect ending this is to what I term incredible story. To know that nobody has ever and will ever do it the way I did it again. That it was going to be great, that way it finished, and the accolades that I received, and the success that I had. But to be able to be placed on top of that mountain as a Hall of Famer really completes the story in an incredible way, and really expands the platform to be able to encourage and inspire people through my story. And that's what I've been able to grab a hold of with the Hall of Fame process is, man, this is going to give me an opportunity to tell all those kids that have been told they can't do something, or they're doubting themselves, or all those adults that are trying to chase after a dream and, run to a couple walls here or a bunch of denials there, that, it'll be my chance to really say, hey, I was there. I was in that situation. I was in your boat. I found myself in the same place, and here's where I ended up. You can do that same thing. You've got that same opportunity that I have. And, they can't sit back and say, well, but you didn't get to where I wanted to go. Yeah, there isn't any, greater place from, when you're talking about the history and the finality of the Hall of Fame, regardless of what endeavor you're trying to take on. And so, I get that final piece of completion in which I can use my story and my testimony to encourage other people. And I have grabbed a hold of that, and I hope to do that Hall of Fame week and with my speech. But I think understanding what this really means, big picture, will take more shape as I go through the process.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. And thank you all for joining us on today's call. Appreciate it. This call can be found on the Hall's website later today, the media site, and the password is Canton lowercase. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.